My son deserves someone better than you. Get a divorce right away. I won't have nothing to do with you anymore. Okay, I got it. After that, I sent all of my husband's belongings to my mother-in-law's house. What's happening? How did I get into this mess? I addressed my flustered mother-in-law in icy tone. Well, I guess you got what you deserved. My name is Nora. I'm a 30-year-old administrative assistant. I'm in a relationship with Lucas, whom I met at a party. He's 3 years older than me and is alluring. I was immediately head over heels for him, who was affable and seemed to be serious about his job. We never ceased to carry on our conversations and exchanged our numbers at the end of the night. From then, he started asking me out, and after a few casual dates, we became official. After a year and a half of being together, we were very much in love, and I hope to marry him someday. Then, on my birthday, he popped the question. I just thought he had made a reservation at a fancy restaurant to celebrate, but it turned out to be a surprise proposal. He gave me a birthday gift, so I was totally oblivious to his true intention and was thrilled when it happened. Of course, my answer was yes, and we were engaged. I was overjoyed that my soulmate proposed to me as a surprise on my birthday. At the time, I had no idea that this marriage would cause me so much trouble. We introduced each other to our families and got married without incident. He moved into my apartment, which belonged to my mom, to start our new life. My grandpa owned a business, and my mom had been studying investment with him since she was young. She continued her dealing after I was born, and she now has considerable assets in real estate and so on. The apartment I was living in was one of the real estate she purchased for investment. Since there was no rent to pay, we considered it a perfect opportunity to save money while starting our newlywed life. And that's why Lucas moved in. It was a 3-bedroom apartment, so there was plenty of space for the two of us. He asked me to be a full-time housewife when we got married. I didn't have any particular attachment to my job, and I had a longing to be a full-time homemaker. I quickly agreed and quit my job. Since then, I worked hard to make a comfortable home as a supportive wife. I cleaned, did laundry, and cooked as best as I could, and my hobby of baking got better and better. As a result, my time at home became more and more fulfilling. Lucas, who had a sweet tooth, was in ecstasy while eating cakes and other treats I made. These are really delicious. Thanks, Han. It goes well with coffee. We were leading a very joyful and loving newlywed life. But then, a disruptive presence appeared to disturb us. It was my mother-in-law, Grace. One day, she suddenly showed up at our apartment. Oh, Grace, what's going on? What? I'm not allowed to come to my son's house without a reason? No, that's not how I meant. It's just that if you plan to come, it'd be great if you could give us a heads up beforehand so we can get things organized. If I had known she was coming, I'd have kept the cake I baked and served it with coffee. While I was thinking about that, she wandered around the apartment on her own, peering into rooms without asking. What are you doing, Grace? I'm curious to see what the rooms are like. Or what? Is there something you don't want me to see? It's not like that, but... Once she finished, she sat down on the sofa in the living room. Nora, you're so thoughtless. Can't you offer a drink or something? But you're busy looking around the apartment on your own. Are you blaming me for your own lack of consideration? I can't prepare anything with you snooping around, you know. You're talking back to me. Ah, you're so arrogant for a daughter-in-law. Her eyes widened and she got upset with me. It was obviously her fault for showing up without notice, so I couldn't understand why she was mad at me. She stayed for a while and made me prepare lunch. She even demanded dessert after that. I only have the same sweets when you came over last time. Jesus, you're so inconsiderate. Who showed up without any prior notice? I feel sorry for Lucas for having such an incompetent wife. You should be more responsible. It seemed she was eager to bully me. She casually uttered unreasonable things to trouble me, and then got angry with me. I guess she wanted to relieve her stress by blaming me in that way. In fact, after she scolded me, she wore a smug expression as if she had won. She needed to revel in a sense of superiority over me. Her personality was truly disgusting. She was quiet when we first met, but once we got married, she started to show her true color. On that day, I was constantly subjected to sarcastic remarks from her, and it really wore me out. I spoke to Lucas about her when he got home from work. Honey, your mom came out of the blue today, and it was really troublesome. She complained about everything in the house, and she gave me a lecture about my homemaking skills. Yeah, I heard from her. Oh, really? She left before he came back, so I thought she was keeping it a secret from him. She said she did an unannounced survey to see if you were doing the chores properly. Seriously? She was a little disappointed. She said you weren't as good of a homemaker as she expected. But she came right after you left for work. I think it's impossible to have finished cleaning or anything at that time of the day. She said you tend to talk back like that. She was right. You should try to listen to people's opinions more carefully and make an effort to improve. Are you kidding me? He unbelievably took her words to his heart and made a statement siding with her. Hold on, you know that I do my chores properly, don't you? Isn't that just superficial? I don't know how you're spending your time during the day, so I'll have to trust what my mom says. From now on, she'll be coming every week to teach you, so listen to her, okay? You've got me kidding me. Why do you decide such things on your own? That's because you aren't doing your job right. Mom says she's not going to give up on you, and instead, she's going to help you. You should be grateful. I was at a loss for words. Grace's bullying was one thing, but Lucas's attitude was also unbelievable. Why was he controlled by her? I protested desperately, but he wouldn't listen. Then Grace really began to come to our place every week. Lucas gave her the code and a spare key without telling me, and she just opened the gate and the front door as she pleased. Well, let's start with the cleaning first. But before that, bring me coffee and some pastries. She had me prepare drinks and snacks for her relaxation while she lays around on the sofa, making me do the chores. Then, at her convenience, she came over and yelled, "It's still dirty. You really suck at cleaning." And when she made me prepare lunch for her, she criticized the food. "What do you think you're doing by serving such a pathetic meal?" She bullied me every week and then left, looking satisfied with herself. She always reported to Lucas that I wasn't improving, and he believed her and blamed me for it. Even if I wanted to keep her out of the apartment, she had a spare key. I once tried to prevent her from entering by locking a bolt. She made a big deal about it and immediately called Lucas. Since then, she showed up during the morning hours when he was still at home to let her in. You know, Nora can't keep up with my instruction and did a terrible thing. I need to knock some sense into that lazy and rotten spirit of hers. I'm counting on you, Mom. I never thought she'd be such a hopeless daughter-in-law. What on earth did they think I was? I had no idea that Lucas was such a mommy's boy. I was mentally and physically exhausted from being bullied by Grace repeatedly. Then one day, Lucas announced the unthinkable. I'm going on a business trip today, so I asked Mom to stay here for 3 days. Excuse me? I couldn't believe my ears. No way, you can't be serious. Well, I am, he replied with a shrug of his shoulders. Then Grace arrived with a large travel bag. Good morning, Mom. Take good care of Nora from today, will you? Of course I will. As her mother-in-law, I'll make sure you're well trained. She grinned at me. Lucas took his carry-on and went on a business trip. I was in despair. I couldn't believe that I was alone with her for the next 3 days. I knew she was going to use me like a slave. But then something changed inside my brain. I realized that Lucas would continue to take his mom's side. If that was the case, I had no obligation to obey both of them. Nora, get breakfast ready quickly. I didn't have time to eat. Make me pancakes with fruits and vanilla ice cream. I'm in the mood for cafe au lait. Sweeten it up and get it ready. With that, she sat on the sofa and turned on the TV. She smirked at me as I prepared the ingredients. She thought that she was going to use me like a housekeeper from then on, and that she was going to enjoy a leisurely time. I wasn't going to allow that. I prepared what she wanted, put it on the table, and started to eat it myself. She got up from the sofa, and the moment she looked at me, her eyes widened in surprise. Hey, what do you think you're doing? What do you mean, I'm eating my breakfast? Yes, that's mine, isn't it? What are you talking about? Since I used the ingredients in this house to make it, this is my breakfast. Thank you for the idea though. It's delicious. Don't you dare mock me. You think you're allowed to do this? I'll tell Lucas, so be prepared. Yeah, go ahead. If you want to interfere with him while he's busy working, be my guest. She was reaching for her phone, but my comment seems to dissuade her. She was aware that calling him on a business trip and bad-mouthing me would have been a nuisance. You finish eating that and make mine. Why should I do that? I'm a guest. You came here on your own. I didn't invite you. How arrogant can you get? I'm so mad. Divorce my son. He deserves better than you. So get a divorce. I want to have nothing to do with you. Divorce? I see. Have you finally understood your position? If you get divorced, you won't be able to live in this beautiful apartment, you know. You have a good life now thanks to Lucas, and yet you're incredibly audacious. You should reflect on your past arrogance while living in a random apartment or something. She had a triumphant expression on her face. Okay, I got it. I'll divorce him. Really? She was surprised that I obeyed so easily, but she quickly returned to her smug smile. You just agreed, right? You can't take it back later, you know. Yeah, it's okay. I'm not going to change my mind. In fact, you're not going to take it back either, are you? Of course not. Oh, I'm delighted. Now Lucas can find a decent woman. She rejoiced, and I thought that line belonged to me instead. I've got some packing to do, so could you please go home now? I'm not going to follow any more of your orders about housework or anything. When I told her that, she shrugged her shoulders. Well, I guess so. If you leave, I'll have the freedom to come and go in this apartment as I please. Then she left excitedly. I started packing up things in haste. Of course, they weren't my things, but Lucas's belongings. And then I sent all of them to his family home. I also changed the locks. Neither he nor Grace could have entered the house anymore. A couple of days later, I got a call from Lucas. Oh, hey, why won't the door open? Are you at home? I'm at my parents' house. What are you doing there? I mean, why isn't my key working? Oh, I changed the locks. What do you mean? We are getting a divorce. Divorce? I've sent all your stuff to your parents' house. No way. Jeez, how did you come up with divorce? You'll have to ask Grace about that. I gotta go. Oh, wait. After I hung up on him, he apparently went to see Grace right away. Sometime later, I received a call from him again. Honey, did you seriously move all my stuff out? I told you so, didn't I? I'm divorcing you. Hold on, I never agreed. Mom took the initiative and pushed things right. Well then, it's invalid. I didn't think I could stay married to you. Your mom is entirely at fault, but you're also in the wrong for siding with her. He finally understood his position. It's my fault. From now on, I won't take her side. I'll make her apologize to you too. Mom, apologize to Nora. He then gave the phone to Grace. What's going on? How is this happening to me? Doesn't the apartment belong to Lucas? How are you staying there? I used to saying things like that at this point. The apartment belongs to my mother. Lucas has no right to anything. He just moved in after we got married. That can't be true. But it is. Oh, and I have recordings and diary entries of all the verbal abuse and mistreatment from you. What? I've sent copies of those as well, just as I finished my sentence. Does she mean this? I had my father-in-law's voice in the back. Apparently, he was around. He played the recorded audio I made. From the stereo, I could hear Grace's voice yelling. The volume was loud enough for me to hear it even over the phone. Wait, when did you make this? Jesus, what's this all about? Have you been skipping out on housework and bullying Nora at her house the whole time? I heard my father-in-law yelling at Grace. Oh, well, you see. Nora, please explain to him. I was just teaching you housework. I addressed the flustered Grace in an icy tone. You've been coming to my place to bully me. I knew it. I can't put up with you anymore. Let's get a divorce. With that, I heard him walk away. Nora, because of you, I might lose everything. What are you going to do about it? Well, I guess you deserved it. I'm the victim here. I could even consider suing for emotional distress I've endured. Oh no, I didn't mean to. Anyway, divorce is inevitable, so please convey this to Lucas, who's probably frozen in place there. If he doesn't comply, I'll take legal action. I hung up the phone. After that, Lucas called me several times, but I ignored him and demanded a divorce through my lawyer. He resisted for a while, but eventually gave in and agreed to it. Later, my father-in-law filed for divorce from Grace, and she was kicked out from the house. Lucas is now living in a rented apartment, where Grace forced herself to move in with him. He is constantly angry and blames her. It's all your fault. And Grace fights back. It's your fault for not explaining things properly. They fight every day. I've received an email from him saying he wants to reconcile and promises to treat me better this time after reporting his current situation with his mother. I've been ignoring all of them. If he continues to pester me in the future, I'm thinking of consulting the police. Well, he's a coward, so if I mention the word police, he'll freak out and run away. Now, I'm living alone in a spacious apartment. I'll most likely obtain half of the money Lucas earned during our marriage through the property division, so I plan to take my time and look for a job at my own pace.
Give me your house. It used to belong to my husband. What's wrong with his wife using it? He's a fool, isn't he? Why did he entrust the house to his failed firstborn son instead of his lovely second son? And you, the pathetic wife who married that failure, are leading such a good life. I don't get it.
She's right. We deserve to live in this house. You two jerks aren't worthy to live here. If you don't get out of here, we're gonna have to play hardball. Well, you'll just have to struggle through it and give up anyways. The house will eventually be ours. From that day on, my mother-in-law and brother-in-law started harassing me. They were not afraid to use any means necessary, and I finally couldn't take it anymore. Okay, I'll give up the house. They despised and talked bad about my husband, but I couldn't fight back anymore. I couldn't even protect my father-in-law's house. I was so disappointed at myself for not being able to do anything about it. My name is Nadia, and my husband is Derek. Derek's father was the president of a company before his death. He was both strict with his work and kind to his family, and he left Derek and I a luxury home where we now live together. Derek has taken over the company and became the president, and has recently started working abroad on his own for business reasons. The house was too big for just the two of us to live in, so Derek's absence has made it even more lonely. It is a beautiful house with a lot of rooms that my father-in-law left us. Every day, I was busy cleaning and doing laundry while sweating like crazy. Then one day, suddenly the doorbell rang. I went to the front door to see who it was, and there was Jessica, my mother-in-law, and Kevin, my brother-in-law. I have to admit that I didn't have a good feeling about their arrival. These two are the polar opposites of my father-in-law. Jessica is always defending her money, and Kevin was holding some kind of grudge over his brother Derek. I was hoping nothing would happen, as Jessica and Kevin made their way into the house without responding to my greetings. Jessica, stop! What's the problem? It's my husband's house to begin with. I don't like it when you act as if it's yours. Snickering and without any hesitation, Jessica began to explore all the rooms without asking, as if she had come to a viewing. There was no point in warning Jessica. She would never listen to me.
I decided to speak to Kevin, who was with her. Kevin, would you please say something to your mother?
No way. Kids have to listen to their parents, so I'm not going to do it.
Kevin was just like Jessica, and he was amused at my annoyance.
Okay, I've decided now. We're moving here.
My mother-in-law said to me with a satisfied look on her face as she finished looking around the house. You've got to be kidding me. There was no way she could just show up out of the blue and move in here. No matter what she was, it was unacceptable. Don't be silly. Don't you have the slightest common sense? Raising my voice, I turned them away. How can you be so disrespectful to your husband's mother? What's with that attitude? Jessica was shouting the whole time I was trying to kick them out. Because of her behaviors, it wasn't obvious who was the victim here. I was so embarrassed seeing her so loud and not even caring about the neighbors. Derek isn't here, so what can you do on your own? Jessica gave a nasty smile and pointed at Kevin. Kevin, don't you do anything evil, okay? But do something to make her want to voluntarily leave the house. Roger that. I'll take care of it. Kevin nodded as if it were a matter of course, with a creepy smirk on his face. The two left that day, but there was no way they would stop with just that. I was anxious to see what they would do next, and as expected, the next morning they started to make their move. There was food waste spread in front of our front door. When I saw that they had also mercilessly dumped the waste on the flower bed that my father-in-law had cherished before his death, I was speechless. I managed to clean up the mess and repair the flower bed, but the harassment was just the beginning. I started getting silent phone calls in the middle of the night, and often all the contents of my mailbox were opened up. And to top it all off, there was a paper in my neighbor's mailbox stating that I was having an affair while Derek was away. The neighbor's wife told me that she had received several of these in her mailbox. She suspected the contents and reported it to me, which means there are many people who actually believe this and still keep quiet to me. Little by little, I was getting mentally trapped, and I was close to my limit. I didn't tell Derek because I didn't want to disturb his work, but after about a month of harassment, I finally called him and opened up to him about it. Derek was furious when he heard what I had gone through. Jessica and Kevin's reckless actions are nothing new. Derek is Jessica's stepson and is only half-blood related to Kevin. Jessica never cared for Derek as a son and treated him badly, favoring Kevin over Derek. So, it is understandable that they may feel that it is unfair that Derek is the only one who gets to keep a position in the company, the house, and so on. It is true that my father-in-law was more often on Derek's side than Kevin's during his lifetime. However, it was not just because of his favoritism, but because Derek was a person who put in a lot of effort. Kevin was a bit more cunning than Derek. He was often tempted to use the wrong move in order to get a good result and be praised for it. But his father had no intention of letting Kevin take over the company, as he was spoiled by Jessica, who praised him for his cheating. After his father passed away, the distribution of inheritance caused a complete breakdown of the family relationship, which led to the kind of harassment we have today. Derek has put up with Jessica's harassment for a long time, but now that he knows that it is being directed at me, he has expressed his anger and his refusal to tolerate it. And so, Derek suggested a plan. I nodded in agreement. The next morning, I called up Jessica just to tell her one thing. We have decided to let go of the house. Jessica was obviously overjoyed. She did not yet realize that she had fallen for a plan. A few days later, Jessica and Kevin arrived at the house to move in, but when they came, they were stunned. The house we used to live in was already occupied by the vice president of Derek's company, along with his wife and daughter. The vice president was a good friend of my father-in-law, and was assisting Derek, who was now the president of the company. Both Jessica and Kevin knew of him, so the moment they saw his face, they realized that Derek and I set them up. Jessica and Kevin started shouting at the doorstep of the house that was not theirs. That was the cue for Derek and I to come out from the back of the house. We had talked through our plan with the vice president, so we were able to visit on the day Jessica and Kevin were trying to move in. While Jessica and Kevin's faces turned red, the vice president's wife was giggling uncontrollably in the back of the house, saying she couldn't put on a poker face unlike her husband.
Why do you always get everything?
Unlike Jessica, who was furious, Kevin seemed somewhat sad.
You're the only one who gets favored by Dad. It's true that he left me some money, too, but you got this house, and you're even the president of the company. It's not fair. It's not fair? He was looking out for you, you know.
Derek scolded Kevin in a strong tone.
You've been spending Dad's money like a fool, trying to impress everyone around you. He sent you to different kinds of lessons to get you to change your mind, but you skipped them. You even bought a ton of luxury brand goods for your friends there, just to get them to follow you, and you got all big-headed. And yet, he still shared some of his inheritance with you, because he still believes in you. Don't you think? You're going to betray him again?
After that, the vice president placed his hands on Derek's shoulder. Then he stood in front of Kevin and started speaking gently.
The former president talked about you all the time, that you're his lovely son, but someone had to be tough on you. He said that even if he doesn't like me in the end, I'll have to do it for my son's sake. Isn't he a wonderful father?
When Kevin heard that, he fell silent. His mother was still ranting on about how much he didn't understand the situation, but it was Kevin who stopped her. Kevin led her home.
I'm sorry, Derek.
Kevin's voice sounded soft and gentle as he left with Jessica. In contrast to the reformed Kevin, Jessica could not give up on the luxurious house. Though Kevin no longer took part in the harassment, Jessica apparently broke in through a window alone while the vice president and his family were away. Since the house had security, she was immediately caught by the police. According to the report, Jessica was sitting on the sofa watching TV when the police rushed in, as if she owned the house. Maybe in Jessica's mind, the house really belonged to her. After Jessica was caught, Derek and I went to visit the vice president's house. Even though it was a consensual plan, a simple apology wasn't enough since the damage was done to the house we had given them. As I was talking to the vice president while handing him a gift of apology, the doorbell rang. The vice president went to the front door and brought in Kevin.
I apologize for everything that happened.
Kevin bowed deeply as he entered the room. He then told us about what he had gone through. Kevin had been raised by Jessica while feeling the pressure from her to take over as the president of the company. He had cheated in many ways to surpass Derek in some way. Jessica, who did not care about this process, began to praise Kevin for cheating, and it became natural for him to do so. A mother who praises and a father who scolds for cheating. Kevin, caught between the two unbalanced adults, became a distorted adult. And yet, in his heart, he still had his father's righteous teachings lying dormant. The current turmoil has awakened him. It was not that his father had abandoned him, but that he had not faced his father properly. Kevin was shocked to hear the vice president's words that day, and he could no longer turn his back on the differences between himself and his brother, who was the one who inherited many things from their father. This is how it ended up But it was a chance for Kevin to distance himself from Jessica, and he decided to go on with his life and not to be controlled by her. And he decided to come here first.
I wanted to apologize to the vice president for all the trouble I put him through, and to my brother and father for scolding me. I see. You're finally grown up now. But how did you know we're here?
Derek looks at the vice president. The vice president smiles happily.
I've followed your plan once, so I've got to follow your brother's plan too. I'm on both of your sides. Vice President, man, you've been helping me in my professional and personal life, huh? If my best friend's child says that about me, I couldn't be happier.
Derek and Kevin talked for a while after that. Their previously distant relationship was finally restored like that of normal siblings.
Derek, I'm going to do what I want to do from now on, not what Mom wants me to do. That's good. What are you going to do then? It's pretty cliché, but I'm thinking of backpacking abroad. I'm going on a journey of self-discovery. Backpacking abroad? I see. That would be a great experience. I'll be rooting for you.
Derek smiled, nodded, and patted Kevin on the shoulder.
Maybe, when we get settled, we can go visit our dad's grave together. Yeah, I'll be a better man by then.
And then, Derek and Kevin parted ways. I soon got pregnant, and Derek decided to officially return as Kevin left the country, like they were taking turns. Although they miss each other like that, I'm sure their connection has become stronger than anyone else's. Kevin now occasionally contacts Derek. This must be a picture taken with some of the children he met. Kevin is smiling happily as he waves at the camera. It's hard to imagine that this is the Kevin I know. Kevin had always been interested in various cultures of the world. He seems to have realized the benefits of working hard and earning a living by working as an interpreter while traveling. Derek seemed happy to see that he no longer had to worry about Kevin.
He's always been like this. This country must have been a very tight place for him.
He picked up a photo Kevin had sent him and handed me one as well.
You'd think so too, don't you, Mom?
Derek said, and Jessica, who was sitting next to me, looked remorseful and quietly drank her tea. Jessica had been arrested that day, but had been released at the pleasure of the vice president. In exchange, he had made one condition. That was to give Kevin his freedom. Jessica accepted the condition, but when she saw Kevin looking so happy and free, she must have felt deep regret in her actions. The unruly Jessica was nowhere to be found. Did Kevin not need me?
No, he needed you. You just did it the wrong way.
She looked at Kevin's picture and sighed. Jessica, I'll go get you another cup of tea. I got up from my seat, and Jessica followed me into the kitchen. I am sorry to ask this now, but I was wondering if you could teach me how to make your tea. I feel like it tastes better than the tea I make. I don't think there's such a difference. I don't do anything unusual. It's just a little trick. Now that Kevin is gone, Jessica has become a sweet woman. She has more time to herself, and I guess she's had some time to think things through. I felt like I could get along with Jessica now. Now that I am about to give birth, the three of us, including Jessica, are living together. As my bump gradually gets bigger and I have difficulty moving around, Jessica helps me with housework and takes care of me. I wonder if this awkwardness between us will disappear by the time my child is born. I sipped the tea that Jessica had made for me and wondering things like that. It was a delicious tea, just the way I like it.
Never mind our adorable daughter, but I'll have to see your face so much from next week that I'll probably grow tired of it. Doesn't have to be a video call, right? My husband, who is currently on a business trip, turned off the camera as soon as the video call with our daughter ended. Lately, he has been distant like this towards me. Despite feeling hurt, I continued the conversation and asked him about the flight schedule for next week and made arrangements for his pickup. The conversation quickly ended. Well, I'm going to hang up now. Good night.
Yeah, good night.
Just as she was about to hang up after hearing her husband's response, she heard him say these words.
Alright, it's safe now. Hey, you can come back to this room.
It seems like my husband mistakenly thought the call had ended. Upon overhearing the conversation between him and another person, I made up my mind to send him to hell. My name is Alice. I am a 34-year-old working woman. I met my husband Dominic at the company where we both worked when we were single. We were colleagues in the same department, and as we got along well both professionally and personally, we fell in love and started dating. In our second year of dating, Dominic proposed to me, and I happily accepted. Both of our parents were thrilled, and even our mutual boss blessed us. We had a blissful wedding. Afterward, I became pregnant quickly. To prepare for parenthood, I resigned from my job right after giving birth so I could work from home. Since then, I have been working from home as a self-employed individual, while Dominic continued to work at his original company. Our daughter, Emma, was born during that time. Dominic lifted the newborn Emma and said the following.
She's so adorable. Alice, thank you for giving birth to such a cute daughter.
It seems like you're already proudly displaying your parental affection.
What's wrong with that? Emma, I'm your daddy.
While witnessing such a scene, I truly felt that marrying Dominic was the best decision I had ever made, from the bottom of my heart. In fact, he was quite cooperative when it came to childcare. He didn't do much housework, but it seemed like he found Emma exceptionally adorable. He took the initiative in handling tasks like feeding her milk and changing diapers. Emma, who was like that, is now 5 years old this year. She attends kindergarten, and with Dominic's gentle care, she has grown into a lovely little princess. Since 2 years ago, Dominic has been on a solo assignment in another region. It seems Dominic had reservations about being separated from Emma, but couldn't go against the company's decision. Reluctantly, he complied. Initially, I also had concerns about my husband, who was a partner in parenting, going far away. However, my parents at home encouraged me by offering their support, and my in-laws who live nearby said the following.
Alice, while Dominic is away, if you have any problems or difficulties, don't hesitate to rely on us.
My father-in-law is physically imposing and has a stern appearance. To put it bluntly, he looks intimidating. According to my husband, he used to be quite a strict person, being a former police officer. So even now, Dominic isn't very comfortable around his father. However, my father-in-law has always been kind to both me and Emma, and I've considered him to be a wonderful person. On the other hand, his mother-in-law is gentle and calm.
To us, Alice is a precious daughter, and Emma is our beloved granddaughter. While Dominic is away, we'll do anything we can to help.
I cherished my mother-in-law just as much as my own mother. Emma also considers Dominic's parents as her grandparents. With their help, I felt that I could endure my husband's 2-year solo assignment. That's what I believed. And now Dominic is entering his second year of being away on assignment. He will be returning here in 3 more months. Both Emma, Dominic, and I were looking forward to it eagerly. And at that moment, Emma was having her usual video call with Dominic.
Daddy, today I played a lot with my friends from kindergarten.
That's great, Emma.
On the other side of the video call, my husband was still completely smitten with Emma.
But Daddy, one of my friends had a Cinderella doll and I want one too.
I see. I'll buy one for you right away.
I hurriedly interjected, saying, wait a minute. I just bought her a toy the other day because she kept asking for it. I've been meaning to say this for a while, but please, don't just give in and buy everything she asks for. While it may sound like I'm spoiling Emma when I dote on her, there are times when it seems like he's just indulging our daughter too much from my perspective. He ends up buying her whatever she likes and easily indulges our daughter's whims. Just recently, he bought her a makeup set that cost over $130 just because Emma wanted it, even though she's still too young for it. At that moment, Dominic wore an unhappy expression during the video call.
What's the big deal? It's just something small like that. Don't you think Emma is cute?
Of course she's adorable. That's exactly why we need to teach her some restraint.
You're being too strict with Emma, don't you think?
Dominic and I had somehow started a minor argument without realizing it. That's when Emma interrupted, saying, Mom and Dad, don't fight! I don't need the Cinderella doll, just get along, okay? As Emma sniffled, I quickly apologized, but Dominic still seemed dissatisfied.
See, you make Emma cry like this. Are you some kind of monster?
Let's stop this in front of Emma. We'll talk later over the phone.
No need for you to call later, especially not for Emma. Goodbye, Emma. Daddy will be back soon.
I sighed and ended the video call. Lately, Dominic and I haven't been getting along well. The main cause of our arguments has been our differing approaches to Emma's upbringing. But besides that, I feel like Dominic has become distant from me in some way. In the early days of his assignment, he used to have long phone conversations with me even after Emma had fallen asleep. But that has also dwindled away. Nowadays, he only engages in video calls with Emma, and it seems like talking to me is a burden for him. He used to be such a good husband and a good father. Is there some reason behind this change? Can we go back to being the happy couple we once were when he returns? I had started to think like that without realizing it. This happened 2 weeks before Dominic's solo assignment was about to end. As usual, Emma and Dominic were having a video call. I had some household chores that required my attention, so I wasn't listening to their conversation. After finishing the video call, Emma happily rushed over to me. You know, Daddy said he's going to buy what I want. Huh? Again? Dominic seems to be planning to buy another toy. I asked Emma with a sigh. Emma, you should stop asking Daddy for everything. So what did you ask for this time? You see, I asked Daddy for a little brother or sister. Huh? The stork is going to bring a little brother or sister real soon. Just wait, you'll see. Yay! Certainly, Emma had been saying things like this lately. However, due to Dominic's solo assignment and our age, we had no plans to have more children. So to readily agree to something like this, I immediately called Dominic.
Hello, what's up?
In response to somewhat grumpy husband, I calmly told him. Emma told me, did you really agree to her wanting a little brother or sister?
Well...
Dominic's voice sounded a bit awkward. No, that's not okay. We've already decided that we're not having any more children, right?
Well, I mean, it was just a figure of speech.
Anyway, don't give her false hope. I'll make sure to clarify things with Emma myself. There was silence from Dominic on the other end of the call. I spoke up to him in response. Hey, are you even listening?
Ugh, shut up. Don't interfere in the promise between me and Emma.
Huh? It's your casual attitude that's at fault here.
Seriously, you're just so unlikable. That's why I can't stand it. I'm fed up with the idea of living with you again.
Come on, don't say it like that.
I'm going to hang up. Don't call me unless you have a reason.
My husband said those cold words and hung up the phone. I was left to ponder Dominic's words, feeling down. And then the following week, Dominic and Emma had their usual video call.
Emma dear, Daddy will be back next week, okay?
Really? Yay!
I was listening to this conversation next to Emma. When their conversation ended, I addressed the video call screen. Dominic, I have something to talk about. Then Dominic turned off the camera and switched to a regular voice call.
Emma aside, I'm going to see your face as much as I hate to next week, so it's a voice-only call, okay?
I was hurt, but proceeded with the conversation. I asked about the flight time for next week in a businesslike manner, arranged for the pickup, and the conversation quickly ended. Well then, I'll hang up. Good night.
Yeah, sure. Good night.
Dominic said this, and I was about to hang up, but a few seconds later I heard a voice like this.
It's all right now. Hey, you can come back to this room.
At that moment, a question mark suddenly crossed my mind. Was my husband with someone else? I've been waiting long enough. I heard an unfamiliar, sweet, and high-pitched woman's voice from the other end of the call. Dominic thinks he hung up the call? No, More importantly, could he have brought a woman to his apartment during his business trip? With trembling hands, I operated my phone and pressed the record button for the call. You seem to be having a lively conversation with your wife, and it makes me jealous.
Hey, I'm only having official communication with my wife. Can't be helped.
Our conversation echoed in the background along with some rustling sounds. By the way, you will be returning to your family soon, won't you?
It's what the company decided. I wish I could be with you more.
All you do is lie. You can't wait to see your daughter.
Well, Emma is such an adorable daughter. If you remarry me, you're going to love Emma too, okay?
I was taken aback, my hand covering my mouth. Remarry? Adore Emma? What are these two talking about? By the way, do you think the divorce will go smoothly?
She's strict with Emma. Even if it goes to court, I can use that as an advantage. I'll get custody of Emma. Then you, Mira, can move here and we can get remarried.
That sounds good. I'll prepare for it so I can become Emma's mom too.
Speaking of which, Emma mentioned wanting a little brother or sister.
Really? In that case, we should prepare for that too. Then Dominic and Mira began their sleazy antics on the other end of the phone. While recording the unbearable audio, I trembled with anger. They not only betrayed me, but also planned to take Emma away from me. I will never forgive them. I will beat these people to hell. I clutched my phone with trembling hands. I couldn't sleep that night. I shed tears while watching Emma sleep peacefully. But I knew I had to become strong to protect Emma. I made up my mind to face this alone. The very next day, I started taking action immediately. I called his former boss, Luke, who has supported him during his single days.
Hey, it's been a while. Are you doing well?
Luke, it's been a long time. I have a few questions to ask. Through Luke, I learned about something important. Once that was settled, I immediately contacted my family and explained the situation to them. My family was surprised, but willingly accepted my proposal. And finally, I headed to my in-laws' house. 1 week later, I entrusted Emma to my family and waited at home. I heard the sound of the door opening and Dominic entered.
Hey, why are you ignoring my calls? We had an agreement that you'd pick me up at the airport, right?
Dominic shouted at me while carrying his suitcase. As he entered the room, he looked around and asked,
Where's Emma? I was looking forward to seeing her. Where is she?
Just sit down here. We need to talk. I calmly told him, and reluctantly, my husband sat down across from the dining table.
So, what's this about?
You were having an affair while on your business trip, weren't you?
What?
Dominic's gaze suddenly started to wander. I continued matter-of-factly. So, what's the truth? Were you having an affair?
What are you talking about? You're just making things up.
I remained silent and started to play the recorded audio from that day on my phone. Dominic's face turned pale instantly.
Huh? What is this?
You thought you had hung up, but you hadn't. Thanks to that, I collected enough evidence. Now admit it with your own words. Finally, Dominic decided to come clean.
Oh, that's right. I found a cute girlfriend over there. Younger and with a better personality than you. You're no longer of any use to me. Leave Emma and get the hell out of here. In the next moment, the door to the room leading to the living room burst open. As Dominic saw the person standing there, his eyes widened like saucers. There, my father-in-law, mother-in-law, and his boss, Luke, were present. Dad? And Mom? And Luke? Why are you all here? You stupid son.
My father-in-law shouted briefly and then approached Dominic. He grabbed Dominic by the collar and executed a perfect throw, slamming Dominic onto the floor. Dominic's eyes rolled in pain.
Hey, Dad, why are you suddenly doing this? It hurts. What are you doing, you idiot? You betrayed Alice, who had been working hard to raise your child while you were away. Don't you feel ashamed for indulging in affairs while she was giving her all? Well, it couldn't be helped. Everyone makes mistakes, right?
At that moment, my mother-in-law interjected sharply. Mistake? No, this is a blatant betrayal. With a son like you, I can't face Alice and her family.
Mom? Calm down. Isn't it fine to cast off a wife like this?
Dominic desperately appealed to his parents.
Even if we get divorced, I'll still get custody. You both can continue to dote on Emma just like before. I'll bring a better wife than this old hag.
Then my mother-in-law delivered a powerful slap to him in silence. After a moment of silence, it was his boss, Luke, who spoke next.
Dominic, I investigated it. And it seems your affair partner is Mira, one of the office clerks at the branch, right? Rumors about this have been circulating for a while. What? The company is considering serious consequences. Be prepared for possible termination. This can't be.
Cornered, Dominic finally turned to me for support, with my in-laws and Luke glaring at him.
I'm sorry, Alice. Please, forgive me. I'll settle things with her, and from now on, let's live together as a family of 3. See? Everything will work out fine.
I pushed Dominic away and shouted loudly. You've got to be kidding me. I'm getting a divorce from you. I'll demand alimony from both of you, so just wait for it. Of course, I'll have custody. After betraying the family with your infidelity, there's no way you can raise Emma, right?
No, I can't live without Emma. Please.
Don't ever show that face to me again, you scumbag. With those words, my father-in-law grabbed Dominic by the collar and silently dragged him to the front door. My mother-in-law repeatedly lowered her head to me, and I received kind encouragement from Luke. Later on, Dominic and I got divorced. He sought custody of Emma, which led to mediation, but due to my track record in raising her and evidence of his infidelity, custody quickly became mine. Subsequently, I also demanded alimony from Dominic and Mira. Since both of them had been fired from their jobs, they paid it from their savings, which apparently left them with nothing. They blamed each other and eventually broke up. My father-in-law promised to ensure that Dominic paid child support, and he threw Dominic onto a friend's tuna fishing boat. Dominic is now earning Emma's child support while working on the boat. On the other hand, I returned to my parents' house with Emma, and I'm leading a peaceful life. Emma doesn't seem too concerned about her separation from her father, as long as she has her mother. For now, I feel relieved. However, I frequently introduce Emma to my in-laws, who love and cherish her. My daughter also loves them dearly. From now on, I will remember my debt to my in-laws for taking my side and to Luke for helping me. I want to live a happy life with Emma.